Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about hooking up our Flask API to a React front end. So uh, we've built a relatively full-featured API with our productions and whatnot. We have in previous phases built a React front ends that hit a JSON server. And so now this is going to be basically the same as that. So, so the process, where to start? When we start getting into quote unquote full stack development, the process gets a little bit more complicated. Not more complex even, just like more complicated. There's more bits and pieces, and more places where things can go wrong. Sometimes by necessity, sometimes unnecessarily, depending on how you have stuff set up. I think what you are going to see currently in the curriculum is what's called a monorepo or a monolithic application. And what that means is that the entire application is going to be kept in one repository with separate directories for client and server. And we often do that when we are using something called sessions to keep track of a user's run on the server, basically. Sessions are fine. There is hot debate about which way is better. Another way to do this is by having client and server in separate repos and use some sort of token based stuff to connect them, usually for authorization. That also has its advantages and disadvantages. And in my experience, that's what you're going to see more in the real world. Not solely, but more often than not. There are definitely people that do it the other way around, but it's a hot nerd debate, and I tend to fall on the side of two separate repos for various reasons. I think it allows you to work on them as separate entities. It allows you to build a backend that can be consumed by many things, by other consumers, by your front end, by a mobile application, by an Alexa app, by other servers. That kind of like, and I am a big fan of compartmentalization. So making sure that the things that you are working with each other through some API or whatever, but they're not all mixed up, because that can lead to problems. The disadvantages to that are the token-based stuff can be a little bit harder to get your head around. People have misgivings about security both ways. I don't think either side's misgivings are particularly valid anymore. And they can definitely get out of sync when you're developing that way. You have to make sure that you're using the right version of the API with the right version of the front end. So partially for simplicity, I think our material is going to be using that monolithic repo. So everything's contained in one repo that you can download. Everything is the trick with this is that since for sessions to work, they basically need to be running through the same URL. We use something called a proxy. And that basically means that we have our server running on something, 5555 or whatever, and we have our client running on 3000, say, but we want to be able to hit them both through the same one. So basically, we want to be able to hit the front end through 3000. It'll do all its Reacty stuff. We also want to be able to make API calls through that same URL. And so there's a proxy mechanism by which basically if you make a call that's supposed to go to the server, it gets kind of passed through. So to make the session stuff work. That can also be tricky to set up. And this is just the nature of the actual full stack development, is that there's going to be more bits and pieces, and no matter which way you put it, there's always going to be trade-offs one way or the other. But all that said, most of the stuff you're going to see here, like it or not, is monorepo. I think that's about to change, but for now we're still doing it. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Any questions or anything, or anything that you've seen in material, or just any questions you have about this in general that you want to bring up before we start looking at stuff? All right. Let's look at some code, and no promises. Get that over there. Sweet. So, hey, look, there's a thing. So here is, I'm going to shut everything down here so we can start from scratch. Fair warning, I was having some difficulty getting this stuff to behave properly, and so we might have to do a workaround, but that's fine. So the other thing that bothers me, that does not bother other people, but also bothers some other people, is that when you're working in a monolithic repo, it's kind of easy to get lost, because client and server are both in the same repo, and sometimes, since your models and pages and whatnot might be kind of named the same, or you might have libraries in here, it's easy to kind of get confused about which side you're looking at. I personally prefer to have like 2 different VS Code windows open, one for front end, one for back end. It's a little bit less confusing, but people work this way all the time. That's totally fine. So yeah, for me, but I think just my ADHD brain, there's too much clutter, and it's hard to kind of pick apart what's what. And I know that is not uncommon among developers, so different people have different preferences. Great. So we have our two directories here. We have, well, here's the main directory here, and yeah, let me talk about this. Well, no, which way? Here's our server. This is our Flask server. This is the same thing that we've seen before. I've already done all the installation and database setup and everything. So we've got a database with a bunch of stuff in it. It's all great. We've got our let's not do that. We've got our models all set up. We're going to do something here, but we got most of our models set up to do all the things we need to do. We've got all of our productions, all of our production ID. I don't think it has the patch. That's fine. We're not doing that. So this is pretty much the same as it was last time. I think I added more stuff, but it's not in this one. That's fine. Cool. So that's going to run the way we expect. We're going to have to tweak stuff just a little bit to make it work, but we're going to be fine. So over here in the client directory, hey, remember React? We used to do that. Let's start doing it again. Here's our client. We've got our familiar package JSON again. We've got our node modules. We've got our source with, hey, remember our index HTML that renders everything to the root? Remember our app that has everything? This is using, I think this is using the older version of React Router for some reason. I did not write this, and I don't endorse it. But if something looks a little bit different than what you're used to with V6 router, this is just a different way to do it, an older, more broken way to do it. So let's see. So here's our app. We have a bunch of components here, and look at that. We got our little home page. We've got pretty production stuff that we're going to play with here. I'm not going to do that. Oh no, I refuse. Oh, well, that's there. This is that Formic stuff I was talking about that I don't think we're doing anymore in the new version of the curriculum, but here we are. I don't recommend using it, and I probably won't use it. There's some other stuff in here. There are styled components, I think. Yeah, there's styled components. I'm also not a big fan of that. I think that unnecessarily binds, like that should not be in JavaScript, but here we are. So it makes it, again, philosophies differ. Some people like everything all smashed together in a bunch of little pieces. Some people like an application that you can style like a normal grown-up web developer. But and that also ties the styling to the particular thing you're using instead of making it more flexible. But that's neither here nor there. The important thing is that we have an application on both sides. We have our backend application that's going to be serving our API. We have a front end application server that's going to be serving up our React just like we're used to. Nothing really special there. Here's the special sauce. Nope, I don't want that. So this is going to be using every package in every language is named dumb things. This is called Unicorn. I might be prejudiced, but I think Python has especially dumb names for things, but here we are. Unicorn is basically a thing that is going to be running our API through a proxy. Our web client is going to be running through 4000, looks like here. We're just going to start up the client in the client directory. We're going to be starting up our server on, I changed it to 5555, so it will actually work here. And so basically all this is saying is, hey, spin up both of these at the same time and make sure that they are all good to go. And that will be started with this command here, honcho. Again, for some reason, basically, it's not exactly like a npm, but an npm start thing, but just like every other package in the world, the name doesn't really say anything about what it does. But if we run it here, and we need to run it from the root directory here, so we can see both client and server, great. If we run that here, we will see it start up. Let's take a look at what that goes. So it's going to start up our client. It's going to start up our thing, unsupported digital envelope. Oh, yeah, let me fix that. Node fix. Nope. That is what it is, isn't it? Node fix, that's what it is. Okay, I'm going to do it by hand. Great. There's version issues with npm here. It's not great, but it's fixable. Let's just start it up. Where we go. Honcho. I should get rid of that error. Fantastic. Oh, great. So we are starting up our, and we can see we have different colors here. Here's our API, starts up nice and nice. Here's our web server, and we've got a bunch of problems here because throwing warnings, which we love, great. So this is going to be running with all the stuff. So we are running on port 3000, right? Are we? We're running on port 4000. Let's do that. Always trust the code. Okay, that can't be reached. Alrighty. Where is it running then? Nope, it is running on 3000. Why is it saying 4000 there? I don't like it. Cool. So 3000 will not immediately fail, but it will hang, I believe. And that's because we need to do a little bit more setup on the proxy side. Yeah, don't want to talk too much about it. This will time out, like it just did, or like it will in just a second. This should be working. Great, it is. So, and we get no errors there. Fantastic. Why? Why is it doing that? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Great, 3000. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna change this. I don't think that's what we want. I'm just gonna restart all that. I don't believe that will fix it. But we'll find out. Yeah, good. That's not fixing it. Exactly what I expected. Sweet, but at least the numbers are the same now. So yeah, fantastic. There, great. Webpack's there. All that is what I expect. Cool, cool. I think that's all good. So why is it hanging? Good question. So what we want to do is I did all that stuff. Cores. Cores is the cross origin cross-origin remote scripting, something scripting. Basically, there are ways for malicious people to make requests to your API from a page that shouldn't be consuming it as far as you're concerning. And Chorus is a way that they came up with to not prevent it, but put the ability to control who sees your API or who's able to make a request to your API from a web page in your hands. So you can configure that. Often you will see if you're running two separate things, there'll be some CORS errors thrown up saying like you don't have permission to access that. That is trivially resolvable, but also having everything on the same domain with this setup takes care of it. So running React together, we did all that. We did all that. 3,000, 5,000. Nope, not 5,000. We're gonna do 5,555, and I'm gonna delete you. Cool. So that should be all set up there. Let's take a look at. Well, do I want to talk about that first? Yeah, we'll do that. Cool. So what we're going to do is take a look at what we need to do to our models to kind of get everything in order for us. So I'm going to start here. Yeah. No, I don't want to talk about that first for a second. I'll talk about it a little bit and then we'll get it going. So basically, I'm kind of jumping tracks a little bit. We can do some validation on our backend through our SQL stuff. So let me get that import running. It's gonna be from Swelcome. Oops. We're gonna import validates, and it doesn't like it. Is it
You need an L after SQ.
SQL alchemy, not just Squalchemy. That's what happens when you don't pronounce things the right way. Cool. So that's bringing our validator in. Everything about this is basically the same, but we're going to add some constraints to this. I think in the curriculum is actually covered before we do full stack stuff, which makes sense. So adding some constraints here. So we want to do a couple things. Let's say we want to make sure that they have a genre and title for sure. We can say nullable equals false. So we can do that for both of these. And ongoing default is true. That's great. Yeah, I think that's all I want to do. They can have no budget. Allergies. So there are constraints we can add to our model to make sure that we get some stuff there. But that's not the validation we're looking for. We are going to use this. So we're bringing in this validates from sqlalchemy.org. It is actually a decorator, so we're going to use it with the at stuff, and we're going to put this on our on the production model here. And so what this is going to do is it's going to well, let me type and talk. We're going to use validates, and we are going to say, let's validate image. Hey, look at that image. So we are going to give it a little method after that, because a decorator needs a function. Let's call it validate image, like it says. And we'll pick self key and cool. So what we want to do is say if .jpg is not in the image path, we're going to raise an exception. Otherwise, we're going to return the image path. So what's the key do? Self key. Yeah. So the key is the thing we're looking at here. Image path is the value of it. So we've got key value here. And what we want to do is check to see if JPEG is not an image path. So if yeah, that'll work. If JPEG not in our image path, then we're going to toss our error up here, raise it. A lot of other languages use throw. We're just going to politely raise one, and it wants a value error. And let's say image file must be a don't put snarky comments in your code. People will see them. Some people don't like it. And then we're just going to return our pass. So basically, this is saying we are adding this constraint to a value, and if it works, we're going to just return that value. Not a constraint, a validation. We are when we are trying to either create a new record, a new model item, a new production, when we're either trying to create a new one or when we're trying to update that with a patch or an update. We don't care if it's a patch or not. Anywhere we're trying to update it, we're going to do that. Anywhere that that key that we're getting, the image key, anytime we are adding or changing that, it's going to run this validation on us. And well, we can put whatever we want here. We can make it, oh, the budget has to be over a certain number. The director can't be in this blacklist. The title has to be a certain number of characters, like a maximum of 16 characters for some reason. So if a password needs to have these constraints, a username needs to be unique. Email needs to be unique. A lot of different things. So you can use this validates for whatever you want. I don't know if that's going to be in the code challenge. It might be, but you may find it useful in your projects. But this is a thing that is available to you. I think that is where we're going to leave that there. So yeah, I don't know if I fuss with that anymore. I think this is enough of a side track here. Any questions about validations before we move on? Cool. And most ORM type things, you're going to see this functionality available in just different syntax, clearly. But yeah, you definitely will use this in projects, I think. We're not going to touch screwdrivers, that's all fine. Bloop. Great. Does it all work? Am I going to bomb out? Probably not. Cool. Let us not do that. There we go. Oh, it wouldn't tell me if it did bomb out. Right. Let's see. Can we get? Yeah, cool. It still works. Everything's cool. Great. So we're not going to touch the models again, I don't think, and hopefully we're not going to touch that again. So, hey, look at that. We did that. Yeah, we'll talk about all that. Great. So, in order to allow the front end to actually make requests here, we're going to need to get that cores stuff in our app file. So we can just do that like it says. We're just going to consolidate these a little bit. From Flask cores. Let's start typing Flask cores. There we go. We're going to import cores, and this is basically just this is doing our cores, handling and checking for us. The rubber details are completely uninteresting, so we won't discuss them. But we will add it to our app. So we need to use our cores here, and we're just going to pass our app into it. So it can do that. Yeah, so stuff like cores, stuff like even the API stuff we're using, the Flask API, stuff like, I guess the validation stuff is handled here. A lot of different server application frameworks, not all of them, but a bunch of them have this concept of middleware. And basically that it's just a piece of code, usually a function that sits between the request and the response. So someone, an example might be like automatically JSONifying something. I think Flask does, or this does something automatically, but oh, our request comes in as a string. We might say hey, application, add the middleware that automatically turns JSON strings into JSON objects. And then once that's done, then we'll handle our request. In this case, it's saying, hey, app, when we get a request in, do some cores magic to it. And then we will continue on doing our stuff. Again, different frameworks have different ways of adding this. Some use different philosophies, I guess. But that's, you might heard the term middleware thrown around here, and that's basically what's happening. Not precisely, but kind of. And it allows you to do that sort of paradigm, kind of lets you write all sorts of fun things that you can just kind of bolt onto your server, kind of like a mix-in for a class, right? Lets you manipulate the requests and response before going on to the next step. But aside. Cool. So we've got our app, we got our API. We're doing that. Great. Yeah, cool. We've got our models. And great. I think that's all we need to do there. The cores. Yeah, that's all fine. Cool. Oh yeah, let's go over to our React side. Yeah, and again, kind of like with the the one of the main hurdles for a lot of people is just getting stuff started, just getting it set up. Like it feels like getting stuff set up is 90% of it, and then coding the app is the other 90%. A lot of this is boilerplate. a lot of this is because Flask is so minimal, we have to do a lot of like hands-on fussing with it. You won't see that in other framework, or you won't see that in most frameworks. Flask is a library, not a framework. Just like Express and Node. It gives you just enough to get something going and just enough skeleton to hang stuff on. But like a framework like Django or Rails or something has a lot of stuff like built in that assumes you're going to make an app a specific way. The sort of advantage and disadvantage for stuff like Flask or Express or whatever is that you have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want, but with that freedom comes a lot of grunt work to make stuff work at all. So enjoy your freedom here. So let's take a look at our front end. Again, library, that's right, because we have many ways to do a thing. Right, we don't need to, we know how requests to my website work. Great, yeah, I'm still not convinced this is going to work the way it is, but let's see. I'm going to restart here. Might have to go with plan B. Come on. Yeah, it's not going to give us what we want. Yeah. Cool. I don't think this is going to do what we want. So I'm going to do something else. And so I won't have to complain about what this app looks like. Great. So our application is running. It's great. We're not going to change the back end. What I am going to do is, you know what? We're just gonna make our own. How about that? I'm not going to touch the client. I am going to let's make a new React application. Ooh, still alive. Create React app, and let's call this production stuff. Production. I haven't spun up a new Rails or React app in a while, so hopefully everything still works there. Yeah, I'm curious as to why that does not work. I didn't investigate a whole lot, but yeah, interesting. Well, be that as it may, let's take a look at what the app should do. How about that? Production. Right. Cool. I had a bunch of switches. Let's look at main or home. So it had an image and it had a production container. Some other stuff. Production container. Great. Oh yeah. I remember how React works. Cool. Awesome. Let's see. Can we? Hey, look at that. Let's go. Cool. So this is not going to be as pretty as the one that is in this, but something that is working is prettier than something that is not working. So move on. Cool. Let's see if I can start this up. I think, even though this doesn't work, I think this might be sitting on 3,000. So we might have to jiggle it around a little bit, but that's fine. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to say, hey, we're using that. Can we start on a different one? Yeah, cool. Yep, cool. Fantastic. Development server. Get over here. Oh, just go in there. Are we working here? Or is it just React that does not want to work at all now? Oh no. Okay. 3001 isn't blocked by anything. We know that. It's not giving me any errors. Is React just broken now? Is that what's going on? Weird. Local. Yeah, local host. That's right. I don't think that's going to be any different. But we'll have to try. What? Are you kidding me? Okay, something janky has happened on 3000. Wow. Okay. So that works. Oh, is it gonna? Let me try something. Nope, it just doesn't like localhost anymore. That's gonna be a problem for me in the future, but that's a problem for future me. Cool. So let's talk about what we want to do here. Gonna ignore that client. We're just gonna use this here. And I'm just gonna get rid of, I'm not gonna do too much fussing around. So this is gonna be ugly, but hopefully functional. Great. So let's talk about what we want to do. We can actually look at the other one to get an idea of what we want to do. So we want to be able to, yeah, that's fine. Great. We want to make a request to, are we doing it at the top here? Yeah, I guess we'll do it at the top since we're not gonna, we'll do it in the app. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a fetch call to productions, which does work here. We are going to, if I say local here, I'm still just curious. It doesn't break. Okay, cool. So here's our API. So we want to get our productions. We're going to use effect like we did with JSON server. We're going to care about any of that. We are going to set the state and we're going to pass it into our productions component. And that is going to look like production form. Nope. No, I'm not going to do that. Cool. So let's start off easy. Was hello. We're getting a hello out of this. Great. Fantastic. So let's do this in our function. How does React work again? We're going to do a use effect. Blam. And as we recall, use effect is going to run a function when the component renders, and I'm going to give it an empty list. So it only does that once. And let's do our fetch. Actually, let's give a constant const to our API. Let's call it that for now. Ooh, I haven't typed JavaScript in a while. We're going to fetch stuff. And we are going to fetch from our API. And we're going to do our, yeah, we got to do all this stuff. Then we're going to take our response and turn it into JSON. We are going to then, let's just console log it out. And if this works, I will be amused. There's that fetch, there's that there. Great. I'm giving it a 50-50 shot where we are now. Hey, a create is not a function. What is not a function? What are we looking at? Well, it's doing something here. Nope. But we are getting our stuff there. We are using our empty list there.
I think we got a parentheses on line 10 that should be on line 8.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted. Nope, that's not what I wanted. This is, we want to close that off. We want to close that off, and we need that. Does that look better? Is that going to do it? Let's find out. Nope. What did we do?
I think it needs to go at the end of line 8, I think, because right now the second then is
Oh yeah, look at that. Thank you. Okay. I don't know what all that is all about. um oh, because it needs to have a function here. That's why. I remember how JavaScript works. All right, let's reload that one more time. Nope, still no good. No warnings at least. Why? How does React even work anymore? So let's go back. Welcome to debugging with Mark. So let's get rid of all that and just make sure baseline everything works. Great. Hello. Let's go ahead and just do a let's just do use effect, and we're just going to our empty dependency list. Okay, so if I am not doing anything terribly wrong here, that should console log that once and only once. Okay, twice, that's fine. That's development. That's what we wanted. Great. I'm just going to have it do a fetch and not do anything. Great, fantastic. Yeah, that's fine. So let's do our first then. That should give us the same warning. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I think what is happening here is that fetch wants us to, it's returning a cleanup function. Is that right? What's the format? That's not making problems, right? No, no problems. Great. Why is that formatting it? Well, who knows? Let's just do our console log then. Why are you being like that? I don't know. Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right. Ooh, remembering how JavaScript works. So look at that. It's getting our productions. We've already done it. We've already hooked it up. And hey, there's no CORS errors, even though we're not using a proxy. Weird, right? So the only time that's going to become a problem is when you deploy it. And I feel like we should worry about that then, not now, but here we are. Cool. So we have done the impossible. We have hit our API from a front end and done something with it. Let's do some more stuff with it. Let's actually put it in let's put in a state. We have states in React, right? Let's make some constants because we have constants in JavaScript. Oh, it's like 2023. Let's make our constants. It's going to be productions, set productions, and we'll use state. And since we are working with a oh, semicolons, I missed you. Since we are going to be operating on a list of things, we want to set it to an empty list to start off with. And so then we can, instead of just console logging it, we can set productions it. Great. And then we should be able to, if everything is working right. Look at our components. Uh-huh. There we go. Hey, there's our app, and there's our state, and there's our productions. Look at that. It's all coming back. So let's go ahead and I'm so curious what he's doing in this client here. Let's look at a production card. Yeah, I'm just gonna steal that whole thing. Cool. So in our production, let's make a new file, and that's going to be production card. Yes. Great. We're going to export default that. So that is a component that takes destructures at production for us. Destructures all that good stuff out for us. It's going to console log it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And that's going to return. Oh, we're using some library here, aren't we? We're using some what are we using? Some partition card. What are we using? It's using some framework here. Maybe not. Okay, cool. We'll do it by hand. That's fine. So cards aren't a thing. We're going to make a div. Hey, look at that. We're going to do a div, and we're right. I'm not going to worry about that right now because that's a router thing. And so we're just going to show our great. Yeah, so this is going to be ugly as hell, but it should show us our things. So here's our production card. We're going to import it into, well, you know what? Let's do it right. Let's make a production list.js. Plan. Let's do it's going to take productions, destruction that, and all we're going to do is return. We're going to return productions. Yeah, let's do a map on that. Oh, remember maps. Productions map. I didn't like that. Is that a dot? Oh, okay. We're going to call it product prod. We're going to turn that prod into a production card. There we go. And we're going to give it an ID or key. And we're going to give it a production. And we're going to close it off. And map is going to yell at us for some reason. It's a div. It does. Cool. Oh yeah, I guess we could put it in a fragment. Cool. So now we will use that here. Productions. Let's use our production list. We're going to add some productions. And since it will start off with an empty list the first time, we want to make sure that'll work. So productions just mapping over an empty list, that's fine. Then when it does our fetch, it's going to reload our component, re-render our component, and this thing's going to be productions. It's going to pass productions in there. It's going to take productions. It's going to map that and turn each production into a production card with the prod information. That should do that. Going to do that. But this should give us something interesting. Let's see. Images should have an alt. That's right. Fantastic. Oh, look at that. It works already. So here is our productions. Hamlet, Cats, Carmen, Hamilton. Cool. So we did a React. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that. Same thing would happen if we had a detail page for each one of those. We've done that before. We don't need to do it again. So yeah, we did it. Questions?
I'm trying to like figure out what the code challenge would look like in my mind. Would
Yeah.
it be like this where we're linking Flask and React together, or what does the code challenge look like?
Yeah, so the code challenge will just be working on the server side. You won't need to, there will be a React application built out for you. You won't have to touch it at all. It will
Okay.
be set up to grab stuff, display stuff, maybe have form to post stuff. So the only thing you need to, so basically it's, this is a client server situation. The front end team has already built out the React front end for you, and the application design team has already decided what the API is going to look like. And so your job is going to be, as a backend engineer, you are going to be creating or updating the Flask application that is going to serve that API in the way described, so that the front end consumes it. And I think it's got a couple, like, you can look at the front end. I think it's got some tests. And of course, you can always just like.
Did you hear me screaming out there?
Oh, nope.
Yeah. There's bees.
What's going on?
Well, the Coke cans. Because they kept coming after me. I swear, I think I got stuck. One step stung in my foot,
Oh, bees.
but since I have thick socks on, I was
Oh.
able to just pull it out.
Yikes. Yeah, take care of that for sure. Yeah, wow, that sucks. Cool. Any other questions here, or did that make sense for the code challenge stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll leave this stuff here. I think we'll just go over the gets today and kind of the overall philosophical stuff. I think tomorrow we'll go over some posty patchy stuff and go from there. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. Anything else before we shut this down? All right. I'll post these videos in the usual place. Take care of your bee sting. Hope you're not allergic. And I'll catch you all in a little bit. We have the career services thing after lunch. So rest up, and I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for hanging out.